saving the world and loving it. We are the Spy-Fi guys, and this is Get Smart. Welcome to the Spy-Fi guys, where we cover spy facts, spy fiction, and everything in between. I'm Christian.
And I'm Zach.
And welcome back to our Swinging 60s Spy Summer. All this summer, we'll be breaking with our usual formula to cover exclusively fictional spy movies and TV shows made or set during the golden age of spy cinema, the 1960s. So grab your go-go boots and put on your ascot, because it's time to get groovy.
Though, of course, this particular movie was neither made nor set during the 1960s.
True. It's a remake of a show from the 60s.
That's right.
If we covered Get Smart last week, I figured we have to cover the movie.
I guess we could have put it in later, but I wanted to do it while our memory of the show was still fresh.
Yeah.
So, of course, today we're doing 2008's Get Smart, starring Steve Carell and Anne Hathaway, among other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed when I was pulling this up is that its Rotten Tomatoes score is 2% higher than another movie that came out recently at the time of recording called Monster Hunter, starring Mila Jovovich.
I've never heard of Monster Hunter.
Well, it's a video game movie adaptation, so
okay.
You can put two and two together. And I put together a cup of tea for this one because I'm going to have a lot to say about this movie.
Oh boy. Zach is going to be spilling the tea here.
You better buckle up.
So had you seen this before?
No.
Okay, I have seen this multiple times.
Yes, that means you like it.
We'll get to it. Do you have the synopsis from IMDb?
I do. Maxwell Smart, a highly intellectual but bumbling spy working for the Control Agency, is tasked with preventing a terrorist attack from rival spy agency Chaos.
I liked, the intro credits where you start with the WB logo as one of the doors from the opening credits.
Mm-hmm.
You see someone with like a classic iPod, which is something I had not seen in a long time. And we're watching Maxwell Smart as he's getting ready for work. He's making like notes on all his reports. There's a lot of sticky notes all over the place, which reminded me of Night and Day with all the sticky notes.
Yeah, a couple things in this movie reminded me of Night and Day. And one of the post-it notes says 8th times the charm, which we will talk about more once it becomes clear what that means.
Mm-hmm.
And he plays on his old iPod ABBA. I don't remember the song, but some kind of pump up song.
If you change your mind, I'm the first in line. Honey, I'm still free.
Hey,
take a chance on me.
On Douglas movies, they're like, you can't sing a song for longer than like 5 seconds on a podcast because otherwise you might get sued.
I think that's like playing the music, but not actually singing it.
Well, Doug didn't want to take any chances anytime people feel like singing. Not that I haven't been known to sing on this podcast.
I mean,
before.
I feel like one of the podcasts of ours I recently listened to, you'd go into a whole line of Secret Agent Man.
So, there you go.
Anyways, yeah, it's ABBA, it's Take a Chance on Me, which is relevant because we'll get to that. The geography of this was mind-boggling to me.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes into the Smithsonian Castle, and then somehow he's in the Natural History Museum.
Yes, the exterior is the castle and the interior is the museum. At this point on the credits, the name Basioka appears. Haven't heard from him in a while, but 2008 would be the height of his popularity from here.
Unless you're a fan of the show Hawaii Five-0, in which he was a recurring guest star as the medical examiner until, I think 3 seasons before it ended. So, yeah, he was very popular there.
Oh, I haven't seen Hawaii Five-0. I guess that becomes clear now.
Well, that's technically not spies. They're more cops than spies.
I know you like it because of the Hawaii thing, but it's a CBS crime show, right?
Does that mean it can't be good?
It's not that it's not good. It's just that I'm not interested in cop shows in general.
Okay, all right. Anyways, back to this show and this remake of a 60s property.
Mm-hmm.
And then it looks like it's American history next because there's an exhibit on Control.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a sign in the background that says Hall of Mammals, so it leads me to believe that there's a Control exhibit inside the Natural History Museum.
Yes, it must be. That's the
Which
only
makes zero sense.
Well, this is a comedy, but the tour guide walks by him and says that Control and Chaos were rivals back in the day, back in the 60s, but no longer exist. Neither of them do.
All right, but I mean, it still would make more sense to have it in the American History instead of the Natural History Museum. But I guess the American History Museum doesn't have a nice grand entranceway like the Natural History Museum does.
Yeah, their entrance is the ceilings are low. There's no big stuffed animals to look at.
I don't know. In the middle of that, there's usually like there's the wall of like pop culture, which I like, which would make this fit in right perfectly there.
Yeah, it would have made sense that there's the suit and the car and the shoe
Hmm.
phone and all that other stuff that comes up later.
Anyway, so he goes into a door that's marked authorized personnel only, and then it's all the doors from the intro credits.
Yes, so that was nice to see.
Hmm.
And he has trouble getting through the doors because he's carrying all of these papers and binders. Why
Hmm.
is he carrying all these papers and binders? It is never explained.
It's his reports, his lengthy reports that he does on every single thing he observes from, his analysis.
Oh, so it's secret information, in other words, that he's
Yeah.
just carrying around Washington, D.C. that could easily blow out of his hand, which is exactly what happens in the movie.
All right, fair enough. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's easy explainable what it is, but that part, yeah, I'll give you that.
Well, I bring it up just because it's a recurring thing in the movie to have something happen because it's funny. And by funny, I mean mildly amusing,
Mhm.
even if it doesn't really make sense, both
All
from
right.
like a reality standpoint, but also a character standpoint. We'll get to that
Okay.
later.
But in a change to, the opening credits, he misses the last door.
Mhm.
And so he has to like input on a keypad what the code is, which of course sounds like the Get Smart theme song, which I appreciated.
Hmm.
Yeah, he goes into the telephone booth, which is an elevator that drops. See, at least his papers are flying away inside control headquarters, not like just randomly in DC.
But they could have. I did like his observation when he says to the secretary that elevator drops really fast, which I always thought that was true watching the old show, that he falls really quickly. It's like one of those water slides on a cruise ship with the door that falls.
Hmm. Anyway, so yes, he gets into control headquarters, which is apparently underneath the museum.
Hmm.
The receptionist is kind of rude to him. And there's also some bullies who are agents, Larrabee and 91. I don't know why Larrabee doesn't have an agent number, unlike every other agent.
Except for Smart, because they call him
Oh, yeah.
Max, and sometimes they call him Agent 86. It's really
Yeah.
weird.
Well,
But
that makes more sense because he was, an analyst and moved into an agent role. So people already knew his name and then called him that. But everyone else, other than Larrabee, just has an agent number 2399,
and then,
13. Yeah.
and then Jaime later.
Yeah,
has
but
a
Jaime's
name.
special.
Yes. Also, do you notice one of the bullies was played by Terry Crews?
I did notice that. I liked him.
Yeah, he's hard to miss.
Larrabee and 91 are bullying Max, and we also find out the agent exam results today. So by analysis, we can assume that this is his 8th time trying for an agent position.
Yep.
Also, we have Bruce and Lloyd, one of which was played by Masioka.
But don't ask us which one.
And then Agent 23, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, enters. And unlike Max, he is given a much bigger reception. He's
Yes.
so cool and suave. And
Yeah, did he remind you of anybody?
what is this? This reminded me of, what's that? And I think we talked about it.
Reminded me of Lance Sterling.
I was going to say Spies in Disguise. I think I mentioned it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but a lot of this movie reminds me of Spies in Disguise. The team
All right.
up of the nerdy guy and the awesome agent guy.
I
I'm
can
not
see
saying
that.
they ripped it off. I'm not saying that, but they are kind of similar.
True. Anyway, so Max is giving a briefing, and the chief comes in late. They're listening to an audio recording of Chaos henchmen talking about their breakfast. And is actual analysis this detailed on as opposed to like mostly what they're thinking as opposed to what they're eating? I don't know.
I'm trying to go back to Zero Dark 30 and
Okay.
how they were, because this is what they would do, right? Is they would listen to people, try to figure out what they were saying.
That's true, yeah.
But where they were originally going with the meeting was that like the muffins is a code name for the bomb
Oh, yeah,
or
that's right. I
something
forget
like
about
that.
that, yeah.
But then Max goes to a different way. I don't know, whatever. So this scene reminded me of The Office, of course, because Steve
This
Carell.
was at the height of The Office, really, for Steve Carell.
Yeah, so this is like a kind of Steve Carell playing himself.
Or
which he
playing,
often does.
not himself, playing that character.
Playing
I
Michael
don't think,
Scott.
yeah, I don't think Steve Carell in real life is like Michael Scott.
That's true. But he does have a character that he plays a lot, and this is
Yeah.
kind of an example of that.
We move on to Chechnya, and they're unloading some nuclear materials. And we meet Siegfried, played by Terrence Stamp, General Zod himself.
Yeah, I thought he was Malcolm McDowell for half the movie.
What?
Come on, they look similar, they talk similar, they act
They're
similar.
British and old and have white hair. They really don't look that similar. Their
Whatever.
hairlines are completely different. And they're grabbing all this, all this nuclear material, and then so they grab what they want, and they burn the building afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And back at Control, they're doing some paintball training. which seems to be like full contact paintball, because it counts if you not like punch them out, not
Yes.
if you just hit them
Hey,
with a
being an
paintball.
agent is a rough business.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's Max and The Rock are together.
23.
Okay, Max and 23 are together.
Yeah.
Did they tell him that he passed the
Not
course?
yet.
I don't
No.
understand why he's there.
He's just training. Because he wants to be an agent, and so he's trains with the agents.
Okay, but he already took the test. I don't really get it, but whatever. So
You're thinking about it too much.
yeah, so like there's a lot of like machismo here.
Hmm.
There's a one point where Agent 23 shoots his gun next to Max's ear and it deafens him like an archer. Which why would it do that? Because it's not a real gun. I didn't
Well,
understand that.
what it looked like was that they were real guns, but they were using paintball rounds.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's using like a Desert Eagle, which is a real gun.
I know he uses a Desert Eagle later. I didn't realize.
But this
he
is,
was
I think
using
it's
it
also
here.
at this point too. Yeah.
Okay. And then also around here, I think we get a fat joke. The first fat joke of the movie.
Right. Yeah. So we get it as the chief wants to see Max, and apparently the agent test results are in, and he passed with flying colors. But yeah, as you said, in the past years, other 7 times, apparently he used to be heavier, and so wasn't fit enough to be an agent.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk to you about, and this is
Okay.
why I made the tea.
All right.
I feel like this movie had potential to be a lot better than it is. And
Okay.
the main pull of this movie is the characters, right? Because the
Right.
story is terrible. The plot is like barely strung together, right?
Our
It's
listeners can't see me, but I'm raising my eyebrows.
So it's the characters that bring you in. That's what I'm saying. You may feel free to disagree. Now, this thing of him being a really good analyst, wanting to be an agent, losing all this weight to become an agent is interesting, but I wanted to know why.
Why he wants to be an agent?
Yes.
Who doesn't want to be an agent?
Well, he lived most of his life as this other role.
He tried 8 times to want to be an agent. Asking too much of this, I think.
Maybe
It's
I
not
am.
necessary.
I want to know why on the 8th time he lost all this weight and succeeded. What changed between attempt number 7 and attempt number 8?
Well, I think the weight loss and I don't know. It's more than this movie is going to explain, and I don't think it really needs that.
Maybe it doesn't need it. I would have liked to have known that. Because in screenwriting, I think we were talking about this before. There's characters' wants and characters' needs. So so his want obviously is to be an agent. He makes it very clear. But then what's the need? Is the need respect, money, power, women? What is it? Fulfillment?
Look, the need of wanting to be an agent is fulfilled by every other spy movie we have out there. We don't need that spelled out in words. Also, it's fulfilled by The Rock and seeing how cool he looks as an agent. And that's it. We don't need anything more than that. Otherwise, the movie gets too slowed down by that, and you can't keep up the pace that it has.
We'll talk about slowing down later, but I concede that it's a dumb comedy and that we don't need in-depth character stuff. I just would have liked to have seen it. That's all. We can move on now.
He passed his agent results, or his agent test, but the chief says he won't promote him because he's their best analyst and he can't afford to lose him.
Okay, I have another thing here. So first of all, it's not
God.
a promotion. They're on separate tracks.
Yeah.
The analyst track is different from an agent track.
I know. Yeah. All right, fair.
So calling it a promotion isn't really true, though I guess you would. So my understanding here is that Control operates like the FBI. So if you read about the FBI, as I have, it's an agent-centric agency, okay, where the agents kind of run things and the analysts help them. So you can maybe not call it a promotion, but he's definitely getting more responsibility if he became an agent. So that's fine. But another thing that bugged me here is that if I was told, no matter what my job was, if my boss told me you are the best whatever, I would be ecstatic to have been told that. I understand it's a little bit disappointing because he wants to be an agent and he can't, but it's a lot better than in like Spies in Disguise, for example, where they get fired and they have to work their way up from there.
All right. Again, I think you're putting too much into this.
You want your characters to be sympathetic, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not really phrasing what I wanted to say that well, but something with this whole wanting to be an agent thing kind of got into my brain and is bugging me, and I'm having trouble
I don't understand.
putting it to words. Okay.
I know. But yeah, and so Max, we see later, he's like giving this speech to someone who can't see. It sounds like he's giving a breakup speech, but he's actually talking to a dog in a pet shop window.
Yes.
And then as he's doing this woman who's running crashes into Max, and she's running really fast, like what was it, a 4-something mile?
She says something like that.
Damn.
How fast have you ever run a mile? Out of curiosity.
6 minutes.
Wow, that's faster than me. I think the fastest I ever did was 6:30. But apparently that's something people know in this world. They just have it ready.
Oh, that was a long time ago when I ran a 6-minute mile.
Yeah, me too. So they have their meet cute, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And then at the end, he says, "Am I invisible?"
Yes.
So I think that might be going back to the need that I was saying. His need is to be noticed. And he thinks the way he can do that is by being an agent. Now, in a slightly more cerebral movie,
which this is not.
Which is not. What you do in screenwriting is they get their need without fulfilling their want because they realize their need was actually something else. So in a slightly smarter, no pun intended, movie, you would get respect and noticed without becoming an agent, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I would have written it, but I don't know, whatever. And then he becomes an agent at the end, but I don't know, whatever. We can go back to each quarter HQ now. This doesn't make sense. This whole part is incomprehensible.
All right. Well, let's go through it. So,
okay.
Back at headquarters, there's a break-in. Bruce and Lloyd are hiding under some rubble, and the woman that ran into Max, Max gets him at gunpoint. They find out she's Agent 99, and then there's a bunch of men who are like entering the headquarters. So Max decides he's going to cause a diversion with a fire hose. And like throws it over there, turns it on. It actually knocks out all of those people who are coming in. And then Max gets closer. He whams someone over the head. But turns out it's the chief.
Okay, this part, I don't understand any of this. So first of all, it's not just a break-in. You kind of undersold it. The whole place is like wrecked. It looked like the satellite control room from GoldenEye after the ceiling falls in.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. So everyone's hiding. They're like, oh my goodness. And then when these new people come in, and this, again, I may be giving the movie too little credit, but they're not like friendlies coming in, don't shoot us. We're here to help you. And that's how the chief gets hit.
Okay, in any movie that you've seen, like where there's people and remember what kind of movie we're watching. When do they do that? Something like that.
In active shooter trainings, which I have taken, they say when the police come in, they will say police coming in.
All right, and that's fair. That's if that's police in an active shooter situation, as opposed to your super secret that the public doesn't know about it base being invaded.
I think it's kind of dumb screenwriting. They wanted the chief to get hit in the face by a fire extinguisher, so they wrote the scene around it so that would happen. So that was my one observation. My second observation here is Agent 99 tells Max to do something. He does the kid mocking. I don't remember exactly what she says.
I don't remember that. I do. Yeah.
He says something like, "Stay behind me." And he's like, "Stay behind me. Stay behind me." And I was like, oh no. We are 15 minutes into this movie. Is the next hour and a half going to be Steve Carell acting like a man-child? I don't think I'd be able to handle that. Fortunately, it didn't turn out that way.
We move on to the secret control safe house under the reflecting pool in DC, which, if you recall, is where the secret headquarters for... I don't think we ever got a name for the agency in Spies in Disguise, but that agency has also... And I think I brought it up then. Well, we'll have to go back and listen to our Spies in Disguise episode.
I feel like you did, because I remember talking about the headquarters under the reflecting pool.
Yeah, but before he goes in, there's Agent 13, who's in a tree, which reminded me of Agent... I think it's 44, who's in the clock in the episode we watched.
It's got to be a reference to that. It just has to be.
I haven't watched enough Get Smart to know, but I feel like there's always an agent who's like hiding in a random thing.
And maybe they changed his number. Now, of course, this is played by Bill Murray.
Right.
It didn't really make sense that he's hiding in a tree directly outside of the safe house, but whatever.
He's there to activate. If you remember, he's the one who has to activate the walkway.
Oh, so he does have a reason.
Yeah, there's a reason for him to be there. It's not just like a random agent there.
Yeah, but we get the same kind of funny, emotional, where he's very emotional.
Lonely. Yeah.
He's like, I just want someone to talk to me, someone to spend time with me. So I thought he was going to come back. I couldn't believe this was his only scene in the movie.
It's Bill Murray. He's pretty legendary for maybe showing up on for the things and then maybe not. So
Yeah.
I feel like if they got him for that day, filmed it, and didn't want to worry about him ever coming back.
Okay.
So they get into the safe room. Apparently, Chief's still a bit fuzzy. Before they start their briefing, Max requests using the Cone of Silence, which is an upgrade from the one in the show, although it wasn't in the episodes we saw, but we know of it.
Yeah, it's the one thing everybody knows about Get Smart.
And the shoe phone, yeah. So this cone is like I don't know exactly how you describe, like a force field basically around each participant, but of course they can only just not hear each other as opposed to everyone only hearing what they're saying and not people outside of the cone hearing anything.
Yeah, it's not even silence because they can still hear them. They just sound like they're underwater. So for the first time, but certainly not the last, this joke is not that funny and it goes on way too long. Do you agree?
That's fair. So we find out that there have been thefts of nuclear material all over the world, and break-in does serve another purpose. It serves to tell us the motivating factor of this movie is that Chaos hacked their system when they broke in and found all the names of their agents. This is what would have happened if in Mission Impossible, the knock list has been gotten out and all of the agents got killed.
Right. I have knock list exposed in my notes. I'm surprised they didn't mention it. It also was like the Avengers, the one with the body switch where they're just killing all the agents in like a mass grave in their
So all those agents were killed. So basically, without that break-in, this movie couldn't happen because then Max wouldn't have actually been promoted to agent, which is what happens.
Oh, no, that wasn't my objection to the break-in. It wasn't that it was pointless, though they could have just hacked their computer.
That's pretty much what you said, but okay.
No, what I said was that the scene was it was hard to understand what was going on.
Okay.
I think there must have been a scene where bad guys got into the base and like started shooting people, but they probably had to cut it for time. It's just hard to figure out what was going on, but we don't need to go back through that again.
Okay. Their only lead on this is Ladislas Christic, who is apparently one of Chaos's head bomb makers.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, they have no idea where to find him. So Max gets promoted because he's the only person one of the only two people whose identities are not known to Chaos already.
Mm-hmm.
The other is actually Agent 99, and she has had recent plastic surgery, so they don't know what her new face looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And when Max, finds that he's promoted, he asks to use the Cone of Silence so he can celebrate and freak out a little that he got promoted. But of course, the cone doesn't work.
I did like when he was like, "This is the greatest day of my life." I thought that was funny.
Yeah. And now, 99, being an experienced agent, doesn't want to work with Max because he's untrained and untested and doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct.
So Bruce and Lloyd are, they're basically Q, so they give Max a tricked out pocket knife with all these kind of gadgets, including a flamethrower and a crossbow with microfilament line.
Mm-hmm.
Max and 99 are on their way to Moscow. And Max tries to bond with 99 over their transformations, him losing a bunch of weight and her going through plastic surgery. Mm-hmm. We find out that 99 used to be blonde and she's actually older than she looks.
And then he starts talking about her eggs, which is so inappropriate and weird.
Yes, it's weird. She's the one who brings up kids as part of their cover because, he's like, all right, you want kids. I want to focus on my career. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that goes a little far.
I don't think that would have been in place in a movie made today.
Fair. It's trying to be a joke on, that obviously Anne Hathaway is a lot younger than Steve Carell.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that they're bringing up, saying that her eggs are dusty or anything like that, or actually he specifically says later that her eggs are not, he didn't say dusty, but so it's trying to be a joke on that, I think. But yeah, it doesn't entirely work.
It doesn't land very well. So let's talk a little bit about their relationship. Obviously, the relationship between these two characters is pretty important. So I liked their relationship more in the movie than I did in the show. So in the show, it seems like 99 just follows Max around and does whatever he tells her to do.
At least from those 2 episodes we saw.
Right. Obviously, the relationship between the two in the Avengers movie was non-existent. And the one in the show was way better. Now, in this one, their relationship is better, but it's just Lana and Archer again.
But this is pre-Lana and Archer.
Right. So I guess it's like Seinfeld, where Seinfeld comes out and it sets the tone, and then everybody else copies them. Seinfeld looks like they're copying everybody else.
We have not covered this movie yet, but I like this movie a lot in comparison to something that came out around the same time, which was Johnny English, also about a bumbling agent who is promoted because every other agent gets killed.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about that later when we cover that and compare it to this.
So it looks a lot better in contrast, I
Yes, for me.
Mm-hmm.
Which, to be fair, I do enjoy Johnny English a lot, but there are things in this which I like a lot better. So here's some very topical for 2008 humor.
Yes.
There's some gum on the bottom of his shoe, and have you ever heard of using a match to get gum off your shoe?
Nope.
Okay, so this is just for this joke. I'll give you this one.
This is just carrying the idiot ball, but it's fine.
Yeah, he takes out a pack of matches, tries to use the matches to get the gum off of the shoe, and of course, people think he's trying to light his shoe as because he think he has a shoe bomb, and then of course, no, it's just gum. Oh, he's got a gun. How long after the shoe bomb was this?
I should look that up for Spy Facts versus Fiction. We also talked about it on Admiral McRaven's book, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, keep describing this scene. I'll look it up.
People start shouting, and then a very aggressive Sky Marshal comes in and tackles him and puts him in flexi cuffs.
Yes. So the attempted shoe bombing took place on December 22nd, 2001.
Okay, this is 7 years after. Okay.
Yeah.
He tells the Sky Marshal that he needs to use the bathroom. 99 and him have like this chat, and like she's like, "Are you going to be able to make the exit in those?" And he's like, "I'll be fine." Of all the attachments on that thing, why would you try to use the crossbow?
Because he's dumb. Because this movie is dumb.
And yet you're trying to put screenwriting tips onto it about wants and needs.
I'm full of charity. What can I say? So this scene also goes on too long, and it was painful to watch.
That I will agree with you. Like anything like this, or even like the very last scene, where it's just him getting hurt and like that sort of stuff. I don't necessarily like that kind of comedy.
You don't like slapstick comedy?
It's not slapstick. It's more like cringe.
Yeah, it's like a brutal combination of the two.
Yeah. And on his very last shot, he managed to break the cuffs, but also press the eject button without his parachute.
Thus begging the question, does every plane in the world have parachutes and an eject button in the bathroom just in case a control agent needs to use it? Or are they on
only the ones that they book? I think it's one specifically, and we'll answer that question. But it leaves more questions.
Okay.
So, and actually, we'll get into it. So, right when he says that, the pilot says first package away. So the pilots have to be in on it.
Oh, I see. That works.
Yeah. Anyways, so 99 goes in next, but then also notices that Max did not take his parachute. And so like exits out after him. And so the pilot says second package away. And then she catches up to Max. And then we go back to the pilot who says third package away. And his co-pilot's like, third package? So is he actually a chaos agent inside control?
Maybe. Or this bad guy tricked them, disguised himself as a control agent. I think that's probably more likely.
Actually, what we skipped over entirely?
There's the scary guy in the back who was managing them. We don't need to go any more detail than that.
I mean, I was gonna say, because they actually do talk about profiling, but then they sort of like push it aside because he's like this huge guy in a turban.
With dark skin and who looks scary. And you would think progressive Hollywood would have him not be the bad guy because he looks like a bad guy. Of course, the story is more complicated. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But I was a little disappointed that their profiling turned out to actually be correct.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like that one, I'll give you like. Did make me feel a little uneasy about that. The Chaos Agent, who we find out later, his name is Dalip.
Dalip, yeah.
Dalip. He also has a parachute, and there's a fight midair, which actually looked pretty good. I'll give them.
Yeah, didn't they do this in a James Bond movie, like Moonraker? One of the ones with Jaws.
They did do it in Moonraker. Yeah. I will say Dalip's whole character is very reminiscent of Jaws.
I think reminiscent. I'd say it's more like a direct ripoff, but okay.
I think it's a loving parody.
Homage. The line between a ripoff and homage can often be very slight.
He grabs onto 99 and Max, and so they're trying to fight, and nothing's working. So she kisses Dalip. Dalip? I keep messing that up.
I think it's Dalip.
Dalip. Yeah, she kisses Dalip, which distracts him, and then she knocks him away, and he doesn't pull his chute. But 99 is able to pull her reserve chute.
And the day is saved. And I do like the part where Dalip lands in a barn, and then when a farmer comes in, it's like, "What's going on?" He like throws a pig at him. I thought that was funny.
A very CGI pig, but yeah,
Not
it was
yeah,
funny.
not some quality slapstick for you.
Yeah, see that yeah, that's funny.
Hmm.
We have 99 and Max, like after they landed, are bickering, and 99's still going on about, and rightfully so, going about how he's untrained and untested and doesn't have any experience.
Yeah, it's a power struggle, and she does the Lana thing of shut up, get your gear, shut up again, and start walking.
But I will say there's a difference in terms of yes, they're bickering, but
Mhm.
it's the difference between Archer just being a jerk and as opposed to Max being untrained, but still has actual potential and wants to have a shot.
But you'd think, as smart as Max is, he would be smart enough to know what he doesn't know. And that's kind of what bugged me a little bit. He still
Uh,
kind of has this attitude of like, I always know the right thing to do. You know what I mean?
but the thing is, oftentimes he does actually know things that no one else knows because he got so far into the weeds of his analysis.
Oh my gosh, this is just like our conversation about Spies in Disguise, where I was bugged by Tom Holland's character being kind of up himself and talking down to Lance Sterling. Wow, it all comes full circle,
We're back at Control HQ.
which is
Bruce
fine
and
now.
yeah, well, not fine. It's that they're repairing things.
Yeah, I did like the construction guys to have a little bit of
Yeah.
continuity showing that.
Also, all the because none of the agents can actually go out and do work. They they retask them to be doing analysis work,
Hmm.
and they're terrible at it. And then Bruce and Lloyd actually are make a mention of Project Jaime, which is stolen chaos technology.
That's neat. Don't they have like an explanation for its name that is actually an acronym?
They do, yes.
Then we have some charming workplace violence.
Come on. Have you never been so pissed off that someone didn't unjam the paper that you stapled something to their heads?
Oh my goodness. I've never even
kidding.
thought about it.
No, I've not. I mean, I've been pissed off about jam copier, but no, I've not thought about that.
Yeah, take it out on the printer, dude.
It's not just that he didn't unjam the printer, but he's like, Larrabee is seemingly just an asshole, so.
But still.
Yeah.
That's pretty extreme reaction.
And they're at Cafe Mince Pinsk. They have some banter at the table. We find out that apparently this is a favorite location for Ladislas Kristic, as well as other Chaos agents. And so Max goes to the bathroom and overhears some Russians talking about his job in Chechnya, moving around nuclear materials.
Hmm.
And there's a joke that he's peeing, and like he stops as he's trying to hear something, and then they like look at him, and then he keeps peeing. Thankfully, it doesn't go on too long.
Yeah, it didn't bother me as much as some of the other jokes that go on too long. It's a good opportunity for him to be like peak physical conditioning that you can stop peeing as you need to.
I did like when they start talking Russian. He's like, "Are you talking to me?" Like in a very like American touristy way. So I appreciate him playing up the loud, obnoxious American.
Yeah, I appreciate it too.
His like watch starts clicking when he's around them. He's time to take my pill. We find out though his watch is a Geiger counter. They've been around radioactive material.
Yes.
So they follow these two Russians to a party on a scooter. I don't know where they got the scooter.
They have their ways. They're secret agents.
Yeah. Of all the ways to travel around, you pick a scooter.
Yeah, you think they want something cooler. That's the reason why I wanted to be an agent in the first place.
They go to the party, and Max realizes it's Ladislas Kristic's house.
Mm-hmm.
And he tries to use an attachment on his, Swiss Army knife, which has a blow dart. And it's like, right at the edge of his range in terms of where he could try. So he like takes a really deep inhale to blow out the blow dart, but then ends up swallowing it.
Yeah, didn't they do this in an Indiana Jones movie?
No?
Yes, they did. It was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That's why you don't remember it.
Which is different, though, because it's not that someone else like blows hard. It's Indy blows into it before from the other end.
Okay, yes. Yeah. Thank you for the correction. So the point is, someone gets blow gun darted.
And it's a different joke, I would say.
Okay. So then this part is like night and day again. So we're talking about night and day. Here it comes. Here it comes back. Right. One of the team is unconscious. The other one changes them without their consent. But it's not as bad because it's the guy this time.
Max wakes up in the shed, and 99 is in a dress, and Max is in a tux, and like you said.
Right.
99 changed Max, and even like puts him in boxers instead of briefs, so
she saw everything.
Yeah. Which she like comments that he does not like the, how does he call it? Freedom of being in boxers.
Yeah, well, they bring that up later in the laser scene.
Yeah.
So, okay, I don't mean to keep doing this. I'm sorry, but this jumped out to me. Is like this might have been a good opportunity, and they never do this in the movie. Wow, maybe being an agent isn't everything he thought it was cracked up to be.
In this scenario?
I mean,
Why?
not in this scenario in particular, but in a lot of movies like this. Like, okay, here's a great example: Firefly episode War Stories.
I do not remember.
Okay, so
this.
the premise of the episode is Hoban Washburn, played by Alan Tudyk, is jealous of Mal and Zoe always having war stories.
Right.
So then he gets captured by the bad guy and tortured, and he's like, wow, maybe being a big action hero isn't all that's cracked up to be.
All right, but this, to quote Kingsman, this ain't that kind of movie, bro.
No, this is a movie where everything's nice and fluffy and fun, and I really should.
You remember what this is, the source material this is based on, which is a comedy show from Mel Brooks.
I think the reason why I'm being such a pain in the butt about this is because I really liked these characters, and I just wanted to see a little bit more. I feel like there's a deeper character there that could have been pulled out, and could have elevated the movie to a much higher place than it is. But I think that's the last complaint I have about it, but I'm not going to make any promises.
I do like this moment, though, where like they enter the party. Max is like, there's at least 200 people here. How are we ever going to find Ladislas Kristic? And then he just walks up to him and says, hello, in Russian, Privyet. I don't remember how to say my name is. Yeah. He says, I'm Ladislas Kristic. Welcome to my party. And he asks 99 to dance, and Max is going to go snoop. And so Max, is trying to get 99's attention, survey the place. And she from across the room, she waves him off as ignoring him because she thinks she can do better, getting information out of Kristic.
And she's annoyed with him in general.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
There's a part where she's like, he's a mentally disabled, deaf and dumb horse groomer. He's in the doghouse right now.
Max goes, to get her attention and just get hit, to sort of disrupt everything. He goes, asks this bigger girl to dance.
That's a very diplomatic way of putting it. I like that.
Because they could have just been a joke, but they actually give, have some body positivity here.
Well, I just wasn't sure what I was supposed to be feeling in this scene that goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
Is he trying to make Agent 99 jealous is the idea that he's better at dancing than she is? Or what? I just didn't know what it meant.
I think it was he's just trying to get her attention. Is all right, that we need to go and, so disrupt her dance, basically.
He's let's end this, so we're going to move on, even though it goes on too long. Okay.
And so they do this dance, and I think the girl comments that Max is very light on his feet, and she's like, oh, I just lost 150 pounds. He's like, oh, me too. And they show her dancing, showing that she can dance just as well as Kristic and 99, which I liked. I appreciated that. And he even does a game of one-upsmanship. Someone does a drag, and someone else does a drag. Someone does a jump, and Max has this giant leap with her, and then also pulls her in for a dip.
Apparently, he did a lot of weight training in addition to the cardio.
Her
for 30 seconds. Which I tried at the gym today. I thought of the Spy Museum where you have to hold on to the helicopter.
Yep.
So I tried to do it, and I think I could do it for maybe 10 seconds.
I think I've gotten 30 seconds on that thing.
Even with the wind, and it knocks you around.
Yeah.
So even lifting your own body weight could be tough. So.
Well, I will say, this is a fun story. In moments like that, in real life, your adrenaline is going to kick in and allow you to hold on for much longer. I once fell through a roof and managed to grab onto one of the rafters.
Wait, what? What
It's a very silly story. There were birds in my house, and I went into the crawl space to try to get them out. Didn't realize that the ceiling, you should only step on the rafters in between, and not in between them. So I fell through the ceiling.
Right. Okay.
So I managed to grab onto one of the rafters as I fell, instead of breaking one of my legs. In a normal circumstance, I might not be able to hold on that long. Whereas I was dangling there for a while before someone came to find me. I didn't realize because I was just focused on looking up and not looking down. So I didn't actually know how far, which made me feel like part of this movie where, and we'll get to that later, where, he thinks they're so far off the ground, but in reality, they're a foot off the ground.
Were you a foot off the ground?
I was maybe 2 or 3 feet off the ground. So I could have actually let go. I just didn't know because my mind is going in overdrive, and my adrenaline was running. So I was able to hold down much longer than I would in a normal case.
Well, that's pretty cool, actually. That's kind of a cool story. I would brag about that because, like, I
Really?
always
Because I
wondered.
fell through a ceiling because I didn't step on what I didn't know what I was doing.
I mean, whatever, we all do dumb stuff. But I always thought in movies when characters like hang on with one hand to like the edge of a building or something,
Yeah.
that like really difficult to do unless you're really strong, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, it was two hands. It was not a one-handed grip. It
oh,
was not like yeah.
yeah, but even with two hands, it's tough. Okay.
Yeah.
So
But
we
yeah,
can
so
move on.
yeah. I didn't think I'd tell that story today, but I guess I did.
We're gonna use up all our stories by the time we're done with this thing. Hi, Spy-Fi fans. We have a promotion for you.
This is not an ad.
No, it is not.
We're offering you a chance to win a free Spy-Fi Guys t-shirt if you live in the US or Canada.
All you have to do is leave a 5-star review for this podcast on iTunes and use the code word SUMMER in the review.
That's the code word SUMMER.
You have until the end of the Swinging 60s summer, so the end of September 2021.
We will select our winner at random from all the entries received.
Again, that's a 5-star written review with the code word SUMMER for your chance to win.
Good luck, and thank you for listening. Where were we? 99 goes off with Max, but we find out that actually 99 did get some good intel. Somehow she found out that the office was in the guest house.
Okay.
They have to go in through the sewer. Max makes reference to James Bond. And says,
yes, he does. Yes, he does. That's true.
They're like going through the sewer and it's like, oh great, rats and poop. You know what? I never saw James Bond in rats or poop, let alone rats and poop. Okay, the poop I'll give you, but rats, they appeared in a few James Bond films, including Diamonds Are Forever.
Yes, I'm sure. But this part made me think mostly of Indiana Jones.
It did, because he said all rats. And I feel like, now I'm trying to think, there is a scene where he goes through a sewer.
Yeah.
In From Russia with Love.
Oh, I thought you meant Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, of course Indiana Jones, all rats, and they're going through the sewer, or it's like to the catacombs. Yes, but yes, it did remind me of that as well. Anyway, so they find a way in. They use some exploding dental floss.
This was cool, and she has a whole thing of it. And I like how the canister that holds the floss is also like the detonator. Yeah. It reminded me of the explosive gel from Batman Arkham Asylum. You can kind of put it anywhere you want.
So they get in. We find that there's a laser net that's guarding this whole thing. Which was very reminiscent of. Have you ever seen Entrapment with Captain
I was about to
Jones?
say, isn't that your favorite movie because there's Sean Connery in it?
I did enjoy it, but it's not my favorite. I've only seen it like once or twice.
Okay, but yes, that's the only thing anybody knows about that movie is the laser part.
They're stealing art? I don't even remember.
Yeah. So they have to get through a laser net using gymnastics.
Have you ever tried? They have these sort of things like I have one at the Spy Museum in New York City. I'm going to mention a different spy museum for once. It's called Spyscape. Okay. And they have one of these. Which have you ever tried one of these things though?
They had one at the Berlin Spy Museum, but the line was too long, so we didn't want to wait to do it.
They're tough.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
But this one has an incentive because it doesn't just set off an alarm, it'll like cut you.
Yeah. So like 99 goes, well, first she rips her dress for more maneuverability and she's crawling through. She also takes off her shoes, which will become relevant later. And this is a fact my wife noticed, is that she somehow got her shoes through that without taking them off, but not bringing them through.
So it's like a continuity error.
Yeah. She gets through, then Max goes through. And he's actually doing pretty well. Like, of course, something goes wrong.
Yes, there's a rat decided to come along for the ride, which causes him to panic, but he makes it through anyway. Fortunately,
his suit gets all cut up, and he hits the lasers. But you do see like cutaways of like one of Christic's men telling him that someone's activated the laser net.
Yeah, so the bad guys aren't totally dumb.
Yeah,
that's a nice change of pace.
So 99 goes in to hack into the computer. Max is like snooping around, and he just tries to part a bead curtain. And it all falls down.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense, but it was funny. He gets into the computer with a thumbprint trick, which doesn't make any sense.
Actually?
Or are you going to do that in Spy Fact versus Fiction?
Actually, that's a good Spy Fact. Yeah.
All right. Well, while you're looking that up, bad guys show up. They look like they've captured 99 because they're holding her. But then there's a gunfight followed by a fist fight. And when it's over, Max shoots a guy dead, killing someone for the first time.
Yeah, and again, this is what I was And I guess we'll talk about this whenever we cover Johnny English. But what
Uh-huh.
I appreciated by this is that they actually show Max actually killing people.
Oh, they don't do that in the show?
They do it in show Get Smart, but in Johnny English, like anytime they have him try to use a gun, it like malfunctions in some way.
Oh, interesting. I
Yeah.
guess it's like to be more family friendly is the idea.
Maybe. I saw Johnny English before I saw this movie. So when he just kicks it, when she kicks it up to him and he just point blank shoots him, I was like, whoa, okay, all right. You know what? He is a spy. He's an agent. He should be willing, and if needs be, to do that.
Again, if this were a different movie, maybe you'd have a twinge of conscience about it, but it's not that movie. I made my point. No need to go over that again. He's a killer. It's all good. It's all one big happy fun time. There's another argument between Agent 99 and Max, and she says at one point, "You can't trust anyone, even me."
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, what? That's not that kind of show. You can totally trust her.
Probably. As they're arguing, they're also looking for new wheels, which because I think they've gotten to the limit of being able to use a scooter. So like they're driving this town, and there's all these Russian model sedans, almost look like a Trabant. But I was like, it doesn't make sense for there to be a Trabant there because it's not East German.
No, it's also well after the fall of the Soviet Union. Though I guess the cars stayed around, so that's fair.
Yeah.
There's a homage. I don't know which came first, but they do the joke. I almost said the Morgan Freeman joke, the Michael Caine joke about the Lamborghini from The Dark Knight. Take the Lamborghini then, much more subtle.
Ooh, same year, 2008.
Okay.
So there's no way that it's not exactly the same. Max makes a joke of, after the fall of communism, these are dime a dozen. And then they go drive past this Russian farmers, and it's like, holy crap, a Ferrari.
Wow. Is that supposed to be like a political statement? I didn't really get it, but whatever.
Well, I mean, I feel like it may be a reference to GoldenEye.
Okay.
Because do you remember that, Famke Janssen's character Zinnia on the top is driving on a Ferrari, and even like Brosnan is once he meets her, as I hear, after the fall, it's a new place. It was, and there's yes, with a Lamborghini in every garage.
Oh. I don't know if it's that direct, but maybe.
But it reminded me of that when I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're driving to Moscow. They get to the bakery, which I guess we kind of skipped over the fact that that was their one lead that they found in the computer is the bakery.
Yes.
Max is going to go into the bakery by himself, whereas 99 is going to go infiltrate through other means. And we find out that his buckle has a poison pill. I like this joke.
I liked it too.
Well, there's two jokes that I like. He was like, "Do they tell you how your belt buckle works?" It's like, the technology for holding up pants has not changed in many years.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a poison pill. I was like, great. How do I get them to take it?
Yeah, I like that. And then he also has a tooth in his radio. And I like the joke too, where he's like...
radio in his tooth, do you mean?
Radio in the tooth in the radio, whatever. I like the joke. He's like, can you hear me now?
Really?
Yeah.
You like that?
It was so
interesting.
It's so stupid that I couldn't help but laugh.
Okay. Anyway, so he infiltrates the bakery. The old baker woman there, like, he thinks he's flirting with her, but he's not. And then he finally says, Ladislas Christiksen. He's, take a number. He's like, but I'm the only one here. Mm-hmm. And then so he pulls the number in one of those like classic red, I don't know what you call those things.
It's a deli counter machine.
Yeah.
We used to use them all the time at Stop and Shop.
And so he pulls it, and then a secret door opens. I enjoy a secret door, but this one seems... I don't know.
Not that secret?
not only not that secret, but it seems not the best way to do it. Because what if someone comes and actually needs help and pulls the number?
Oh, that's true. Well, then they'll say there's practically nobody here, so you don't need to pull a number, see?
Right, but what if they actually get busy at some point?
They won't.
All right, fair.
One last thing to say on the bakery, she offers some free rugula. Rugula is amazing. If you ever get a chance to eat it.
I've not tried it. Okay.
It's really good.
Okay. Good to know. He goes to the door, finds Siegfried and his number 2 guy, Starker.
Mm-hmm. And
there's the whole thing about, how do I know you're not Control? If you were Control, you'd be dead. If I were Control, you'd be dead. Well, neither of us are dead, so obviously none of us are Control.
There you go. I also like he introduces himself as Nunnik Schilps. The word Nunnik is a Yiddishism.
Oh, okay. And so as they're walking around, the Ode to Joy is playing.
Mm-hmm.
Siegfried makes some comment about it ending with a bang.
Yeah, this pretentious villain reminded me of Sean Connery from the Avengers.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah,
Yeah,
except not as weird.
that's true. No furry costumes.
No. Showing him around again, and this is the door to our innermost sanctum.
Like
But of
some
course,
guy he barely knows. He just
right,
invites them in.
which Max believes. But of course, it's actually not that. It's an interrogation cell, and
Right.
Siegfried knows who he is. And so Siegfried leaves him in the room with Starker, who's going to interrogate him. I like this. He tries to throw the phone at him to knock him out, but the phone has cord, so it doesn't
Yeah.
work. And then he hits him with the table.
I
Or he
also like how the "Would you believe" joke from the series
oh yeah,
comes back.
yeah,
Which maybe they did it a bunch of times in the
they
series.
did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Of the jokes, the recurring jokes, I think is that, and there's the missed it by that much,
Okay.
or like two of the more famous recurring jokes. Takes out Starker, and he over the Molar radio, he warns 99 that they're compromised.
Yeah.
And 99 gets chased by a bunch of Chaos Goons, and she's running. And Max uses Starker to, his eye to activate the retinal scan. Are you going to do the joke?
What?
Are you going to talk about the joke?
Which oh, the gay sex joke? Yeah, that
Yeah.
didn't age too well. But I was more amused by the way he tried to do the scares just by taking his face and just smashing it into the scanner a bunch of times.
Which is a joke that they replayed in another film starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Which one is that?
Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, okay. It is funny, especially because I think he probably knows the right way to do it, but was panicking or something. It worked for me.
It boggles my mind. Which of these jokes work for you and which of them don't?
What can I say? Maybe we'll have to go back and analyze them and find out. The ones that don't go on too long, those are the ones that I like.
Okay, actually that checks out. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
So Max is continuing to infiltrate the area. He finds a yellow cake uranium, but also there happens to be a birthday, so there's actual yellow cake.
Yes, an obvious joke, but whatever.
What's funny?
Yeah. Not only is there yellow cake, but there's missile warheads.
Yeah, there's all these the production of warheads and all sorts of stuff. So he places charges around the building, but not enough to actually set off the nukes, but enough to bury the weapons lab.
Yeah, so he's smarter than he seems.
Yeah, this is when he meets up with 99, and they get chased by Dilip to the roof, and they try to fight him off. Yeah, but he's way too strong. And Max realizes he recognizes his voice from the chatter, which is the very same chatter we talked about in the beginning when he's giving that briefing.
Well, he has a psychological profile on him. Yeah. I like this part. It seems very real. I mean, in a fictional way, though.
Yeah, we both enjoy America's Top 40 Ryan Seacrest, and it gives him all these facts about him that, is trying to warn him that his marriage is in danger because he's spending too much time away from home. So he's really trying to use his psych profile against, or not just his profile, but his dossier. That's the word I was looking for. His dossier. Okay. Yeah, he knows who he is, and he even says, "Take her with you the next time you go to kill a man."
Yeah, she wants her appreciation and attention. Yeah,
and at least if you do that, it'll keep her away from her sister, who is trying to undermine your marriage. Dilip decides he's going to help and gives them a hug. Well, first Max is trying to use a grappling hook to escape, but he didn't get it onto the roof, and also didn't hold onto the rope.
Yeah, so it's a total fail. So that was kind of funny.
Then Dilip uses some power lines to escape, but just sort of abandons them. And I did like this joke, where he crashes into a window, and the family there is watching. Did you know what they were watching?
A Rambo movie.
It's Batman Begins.
Oh,
it's the explosion in the monastery.
Right. Yeah, the monastery. Yeah.
and so they're watching that on the TV, and the guy is saying to his mom, "See, it's like surround sound. It's like you're really there."
But in Russian, of course, with subtitles.
So Max and 99 go across to the building via power line, but if they crash, instead of crashing into the window, they crash into a wall. Max says, "Missed it by that much."
Yes, of course, the callback.
Very conveniently, of course, though, Siegfried sees them, right outside the window. He's shooot them, and then the line drops them, and this is where Max thinks that they're still really high up, but of course they're only 3 feet or a foot off the ground, and they just drop. Which, yeah, and I get that. As I said in my story earlier.
So I'm like, okay, so they took care of the bad guys. The movie's over, right? Nope, there's still 45 minutes left. Oh no, or maybe more like half an hour left. But either
Yeah,
way,
but yeah, around there.
there's still a
So they
lot.
so they call up the chief, and he sends 23 to do cleanup.
Hmm.
And then we actually get a nice scene. Like, you wanted character development.
Yeah.
Here's your character development.
Hmm.
Max asks 99 why she changed her look. She said that, well, first she gives this like very vague answer without that doesn't reveal like anything. Oh, my personal life and my job got mixed up, and
Yeah.
we find out that apparently she was dating someone at work and she lost focus and blew a mission.
Mm.
And because of that, blowing that mission, she either had to change her face or would have to work as an analyst, which she said would be like putting a cheese grinder, or was it cheese grinder? Some kind of grinder to her face for 8 hours every day. That's the
Okay, yeah, so this is the thing. And Hollywood screenwriters love to do this. Like working in an office is terrible. Being an agent is great. I didn't really have a problem with this personal story so much. It kind of,
Okay.
I didn't feel like we really needed to know why she changed her face. I didn't feel like that was so important. I think it was to show that she's not as put together as she seems, that she has her issues too. But then this gets undermined later when we find out that The Rock is the guy that she gets involved with. Because why would you change your face but then go to work at the same place where your ex is?
From what we've seen, for the most part, what I'm chalking this up to is when we see all the agents getting taken out. Generally, they're not working in pairs; they're just working solo. So if she's an agent, she goes out most of the time. Like the fact that that Max had never met 99 before this point,
Yeah.
yeah, shows that they're not really in headquarters that much. So she wouldn't even
Okay.
be talking to The Rock that much, or 23.
Right. I can kind of see that. That's a
Yeah.
pretty good explanation, I suppose.
We also get a cutaway scene to the Moskva River, which I believe is just how you say Moscow in Russian. It's Moskva.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And they're bringing out a bunch of the bombs underwater. We go to Siegfried on a tugboat, who reveals that LA is the target because the president will be there.
Hmm.
And we see that Dilip is also in the boat. Siegfried is still giving him crap.
Yeah.
And
For
so
letting
it's
them
like,
get away, which I guess he kind of deserves.
but also
Right.
just being a jerk to him anyways.
Yeah. Obviously, he goes well beyond
Yeah.
what was necessary. Yeah.
And so we go to Moscow the next morning in the hotel that 99 and Max are staying in. 99's on
Mm.
the phone, is hearing the chief say that the 23 said that there's no nuclear material there.
Right. So it's like, is Max a traitor? Because no one actually
90
saw what he did.
Well, yeah, 99 realized that she never saw any of the proof that Max was talking about.
Hmm.
Max overhears 99, but of course it makes it sound, parts that he's hearing makes it sound like 99's the mole, which is
Yeah.
why that line is dropped earlier, that you can't trust anyone, even me.
Hmm. Yeah, that should have been a hint that there was going to be a traitor in the team.
Yeah.
Eventually.
So she gives him the phone, which has knockout gas in it, which is a nice touch. I was like, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Yeah. And so Max is taken back to DC in cuffs. 23, 99, and the chief are in the transport with him. And this is when we find out that 23 was the one who 99 dated before.
Hmm.
And we get Siegfried calling the U.S. Homeland Security threat line.
Yeah, I like this, where it's like press 1 for this, press 2 for that.
So it looked like a meeting of the Joint Chiefs
Right.
in the war room. And so the VP is holding court
Hmm.
when Siegfried's call comes through. He makes his threat and says they want 200 billion by 3 p.m. Now, I guess they're still on the line, but I don't know if Siegfried can hear them like all infighting, like where the chief is saying that this is chaos. Control needs to be in charge, and the VP is like, you guys are outdated, and you had your day. You're not worth anything. Oh, it makes a joke about the bakery.
The bakery boys or something.
Yeah,
I did like that.
Then the chief tackles the VP.
Yeah, this is so ridiculous.
I don't know. I mean, you can imagine like just some of these intel guys getting so fed up with someone that they just go for it.
I mean, I guess workplace violence has been normalized in this parallel world of ours, so might as well keep going.
I see. Anyway, so Max is in a cell. 23 and 99 are going to go see the president, who's in LA.
And what's he doing in LA?
He's reading a book to kids, which is exactly what Bush was doing when 9/11 happened.
Yeah, so 2008 is the tail end, I guess, of Bush jokes in movies.
Depending on when this was made probably before the election, so those jokes were still around.
Yeah, they're almost quaint now.
But I liked, so there was that, but I also liked this scene where one of the kids who's like on a chair next to the president says like, "I think you would suck if you were my teacher," or something to that effect. And the Secret Service agent moves the kid's chair away from the president.
Kids say the darndest things.
But I thought that was funny. Yeah. So Max, in his cell, has a dream about being fat again, and the guards, and of course, it's just a dream. The guards bring him a very scratchy blanket, but he is allowed a radio.
He also makes a smallpox blanket joke.
Oh, yes, he does.
That's what we want in our family-friendly action-adventure movie.
I mean, it is... What was this rated? PG-13?
I think so.
Yeah. He has a radio, and he's listening to Ryan Seacrest, America's Top 40. And Dalip sends him a message to meet him in L.A. and plays the song 4 Minutes by Madonna featuring Justin Timberlake.
Which shows up again at the end credits, I believe.
Which I do like that song.
Oh, I'm glad you did.
He gets the guards in, like taunts the guards and gets them to come in and like beat him up a little bit just so he can hear what the code was.
Somehow. I don't really get how that works, but I guess it does.
It's totally like those kind of old touch, like think of it like a touch tone phone. Each of those numbers has a different tone, so you can hear the difference in the numbers. But yeah, so he uses the antenna of his radio to press the right numbers, gets out. Bruce and Lloyd catch up to him.
Yes.
I like this part. He said, "No, we don't think you're the mole at all, but we need to make this look good for the cameras." They have this fake fight where he's going to punch Bruce, but Bruce goes the entirely opposite way that you would from the punch.
Yeah.
And then Lloyd is like so freaked out that he like, before he can even do anything, he just faints. Yeah.
So yeah, this scene was funny. Just again, it went on a little long. If I were the director, I would have had it go a little bit shorter. Like have Steve Carell make a move, and then Bruce just turns and runs into the wall, and knocks himself out, and the other guy faints. That's all.
He comes up through the old control exhibit, which we saw earlier in the movie. So he grabs the suit that was on display, the shoe phone, and the old car, which he drives through the doors.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Okay, that was not DC.
It didn't look like it, but...
No. Yeah. That must have been LA.
I was disappointed that the car barely makes it a block. I mean, yes, it makes sense.
It runs out of gas.
I know it makes sense, but it was still disappointing because I liked that car and I was hoping it was going to stick around.
If I recall, that is one of the cars from the show. There's two famous cars from the show, but I don't remember the types. It's that, and then it's the other car. So he is trying to stop people to commandeer their cars. And this other guy, this older guy, comes and says, "What are you doing in the middle of the road? You could get hit by a car." And then this car rear ends him. But that was the other car that was famous in the show. Also, the guy there, I think it was the original Siegfried.
I thought he might have been someone from the show. I was wondering why that part was even there.
In L.A., the president is meeting with the chief. There are a lot of Bush jokes here because he says nuclear bombs.
Nuclear bombs. And he wears like the jacket, like the Bush jacket with the logo on it, and just kind of generally being dumb.
The president, amused by the VP getting tackled, but sides with him and doesn't believe that there's actual credible threat.
Yes,
it makes the point of if we responded to every threat, it would just be impossible. And so we see Max, in the suit, running to an airport, and he calls 99. The chief has them trace their cell phone, and they say that his phone's in DC. But we find out that all the while he's making this really moving speech to 99 about how you know me, you can trust me, you can look me in the eyes and believe me. He's like, "How can I look you in the eyes?" He's like, "'Cause I'm right behind you." And it's the old. I guess this is the other recurring joke from the show is the old da 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 trick when it's something very convoluted. The old reroute this cell phone to the shoe phone so I can pop up right behind you trick.
Right.
23 immediately pulls his Desert Eagle and points it at Max's head.
Yeah, the Desert Eagle makes its return. It looks really good on camera, which is why it's in so many movies because it's so big.
Well, I mean, that particular shot reminded me of a part in The Matrix. I think it was when it does the dodge and turn is dodge this.
Well, the agents in The Matrix use Desert
Eagles. Have Desert Eagles, yeah.
So it kind of works. Then there's a brief throwaway where they're like, "How'd you get here so fast?" And then it shows the pilot with vomit.
This did not work for me.
I hated that. And it's also confusingly cut. So he got in an F-16 somehow and flew across the country. But how did he do it?
No,
It's
well,
just
he was in the
weird.
back seat.
Yeah, but how did he convince an F-16 pilot to
That is,
fly him there?
I don't know. That was that didn't work for me.
They should have just cut that all out totally and have it just not be explained.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other stuff that's not explained.
Anyway, so 99 trusts Mac's hunch, so does the chief, but 23 doesn't. But the chief gets him to go along with it. I like this joke that it was like, we need to find the president, and they're like, let me find a paper, and of course there's these two planes. Like the first one was funny, it was like where it's one of those planes with a sign flying behind it and says present to attend concert at Disney Hall. There's a plane going the opposite direction, which continues the message. So it was funny.
So this was very reminiscent of The Naked Gun or Top Secret or one of those kinds of things.
We go over to Disney Hall where Starker's in the van and Siegfried's all dressed up in a tux, is sneaking into the Disney Hall.
Yeah, he says something racist to Dalib. He's like, if you screw this up, your wife will have eaten her last kebab.
So Siegfried's just terrible.
Uh-huh.
I've never been to Disney Hall, but it is a familiar structure to me because I've seen it in a bunch of movies. I think it's in the first Iron Man.
I have never heard of it.
Yeah?
Never even knew it existed until I watched this movie.
Okay. Yeah, but it's like I think it's also in another Robert Downey Jr. movie. There's one with him and Jamie Foxx where Jamie Foxx is like a street musician or something.
Oh yeah, I don't know the name, but I remember seeing commercials.
If I recall.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got this like structure on the outside where it's all like metal, and so Dalip pulls open one of the panels and puts the suitcase with a bomb in it.
It's the suitcase nuke. Yeah, he puts it in, and then Terrence Siegfried with a hand laser. He is like something out of Star Trek. It's like
it's not just a hand laser. It is one of the tuning pegs on his violin gets pulled out, and then it becomes a laser.
Yeah, I like it when the bad guys have gadgets. Why do only the good guys even have gadgets? They can mix it up.
Well, all the Control agents go up to Disney Hall. The Secret Service still doesn't believe Control. The chief is like gets into a pissing match with one of the Secret Service agents.
Yes.
But also 23 still doesn't believe Max. But as Max gets close to 23, his Geiger Control watch starts going off.
Oh no! And then at this point, I realized, like, oh yeah, the only proof they had that the weapons lab never existed was actually 23's word.
So this actually surprised you?
Yeah, I didn't see it coming. How could he be a bad guy?
Yeah, they realize he's the mole, and he grabs 99 and takes off. And then the chief and Max steal a Secret Service agent's car and chase after him. They have a chase, and like they have Bruce and Lloyd, giving them satellite intel like updates.
Yep.
They take a shortcut through a driving range.
Lots of golf jokes here.
Yeah, and what I liked is the golf jokes. Okay, they're kind of funny, but there's like Max during this whole time is making this whole speech about how could he be so inobservant and not notice all these facts as the car is getting pelted by golf balls.
I like the golf balls getting stuck in the window and progressively more of them as they go by.
And like as it's going, the chief is shouting all these things like, watch out for the sand pit, the tractor, and then the swordfish.
Yeah, so have you read Swamp Thing by Alan Moore?
Some, but not a lot.
In one of the very early stories, a guy gets killed by a swordfish. Very much like this.
Wow. So we get a few cutaway shots of 23 activating the bomb and also the concert happening.
So 23 has the detonator for the bomb. That's his suitcase.
Yeah.
But it's going to go off anyway. It's also on a timer.
It needed to be activated. No, it's not on a timer. So the bomb was set in place, but it needed to be activated.
And the idea is the concert activates it.
Yes, the music activates. That's why anytime we didn't really talk about this, but when we see Siegfried a lot, he is playing music, and I think he even has like one of the bombs next to him or something that's training it to know the music.
I don't really think I understood all the details about how that works, but I was willing to go with it by that point in the movie.
The Max and the chief commandeer a plane, and they chase after 23. Max is like, get me lower. The chief's like, I can't get you low enough without, letting him. He won't without him hearing us. So Max gets the idea. So this is another one of those. Like, how many planes like this exist in LA where it's just signs, the banners going after them?
Is this the one with the suicide hotline joke?
Yep.
Now this movie really has it all, doesn't it? This whole chase scene has really good combinations of some really good stunts, but then a couple kind of fake-looking green screens.
That's fair.
But I think somewhere around them getting dragged behind the car, I know that's skipping ahead a little bit, I was like, wow, am I actually enjoying this? Am I actually having a good time watching this movie? Is this actually a good movie? I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean the action's good. Like I appreciated like I think it was just the fighting inside the car. Like when when 99 does this really nice roundhouse kick from the back seat to hit 23 in the head. I was like, wow, that's a good kick. And it looked like it was actually Anne Hathaway doing it. I couldn't be sure.
I also like the stunt flying where the plane, after they disconnect, when he like turns the plane sideways and flies through the bridge.
Yeah, that was
very
good.
real. Yeah.
So, so Max gets like he hangs on the side, he knocks into some trucks. There's a scene. Wasn't there a joke like this in Night and Day where like the mom in the backseat doesn't notice what's going on with the kid?
I believe so. Yes.
The kid's like, Mom, Mom, Mom. And then she's on the phone. He's like, I don't remember the kid's name. So I'm going to just say, Steve, 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 Steve. You see how annoying that is?
Yeah.
I laughed at that joke. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Max finally gets into the car. And he even says, like, wow, and like gets a gun at 23's head. He's like, wow, that was so cool. And then gets hit out of the car. If I managed to pull off something like that, I would be pretty happy with myself.
Yeah, totally.
There's a lot of fighting. At one point, they go off of the bridge that they were on onto train tracks.
Yeah.
The wheels come off, so it's just the what's that part of the wheel?
Well, the tires come off.
The tires come off. Thank you.
And then the wheel frame goes along
Thank you.
tracks.
The wheel, yes.
Yeah. They like fall out and they're getting dragged, holding on to the sign behind.
There's also 23 has Max pinned on top of the roof.
Yes.
Max remembers back to what 99 did with Dalip and decides to kiss him, and and like it's slow motion.
Hilarious.
But it was also some voiceover sounds from The Rock, like no.
Yeah. Hey, it's effective though.
It does distract him, and then Max is able to kick him into the sunroof back into the car, back onto the banner, which at this point has been attached to the car and not onto the plane anymore. But yeah, and so there's also train tracks coming from the opposite direction. Max is stuck on the banner, throws 99 off so she can survive, gets his knife out and starts trying to cut himself free. 23, or the truck gets hit by the train. We see 23, instantly explode.
Yeah. And so it looks like Max dies. Okay, yeah. I really don't mean to come off as like a feminist, like white knight type, because that's not who I am. But I never want to see another female character say, oh, fill in the blank, where fill in the blank is the main character's name. There's a part where Anne Hathaway looks longingly at the explosion. She says, oh, Max. I hated that. I mean, it's so aggressive.
Right. Is it?
Yes. Come on.
Well, okay, if it was any other character, like if this was a buddy cop movie. And the same thing happened, I feel like the reaction would be similar. It was like, oh, It's
a different tone, though. It's like, oh, my heart. You know what I mean?
Go
back and watch it. Okay, whatever. Okay. Write in if you agree with me, or if you don't agree with me. I may or may not read it. It's fine. We can keep going.
But of course, Max is alive. He makes a joke, missed it by that much a joke again.
Right.
But we see that the football is broken, so they cannot deactivate the bomb.
Yeah. Oh, one other thing about his survival is I appreciated that, unlike a lot of other implausible survival in movies, this one actually was kind of believable because he was on the ground and then the train ran over. I don't know if Mythbusters ever did, like, if you actually can survive if you like press yourself to the ground and a train goes over you. It seems survivable.
I don't know. But also, I couldn't catch well enough where he was, like whether he actually managed to roll. I thought he just rolled off to the other side in time.
It's ambiguous. Like maybe he could have cut it and then rolled off before that happened. Either way, so
the other thing the important thing is that on the screen for the football is a thing that says Operation Joy, which Max then realized, Ode to Joy, it was playing over there, and Siegfried said it'd end with a bang, so they realized that the bomb is in Disney Hall.
Yes.
So they call the chief. They run over to Disney Hall, and Chief, lands the plane right outside, and you realize that the final notes of Ode to Joy must trigger the bomb. They have to stop the performance. It's about to end, and they're about to play the final notes. You even see like cutaway Siegfried like in the truck driving away, doing it, like listening to it, and then doing his like conducting. And then Max tackles the conductor and takes him out before he can play the last notes.
President loves it. I thought this was funny. The president's like, this is the best part of the whole show, is somebody getting tackled.
So the Secret Service agents come in. They're like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Wait, no, wait. There's a bomb here." It's like, "Where?" And Max says, "Would you believe in the piano?"
Which turns out to be a total guess, but is
Yes, but it
correct.
was right. And
Mhm.
so everyone's clapping, and
Uh-huh.
everyone takes a bow. Then they say Max to take a bow.
This also reminded me of Star Trek 6: The Undiscovered Country, because someone gets tackled, an assassination is prevented,
Uh,
everybody claps,
all right,
our
all
hero
right.
pose for a picture that nobody took.
Yeah, so he bows. The chief from 99 are like, should we tell him? And apparently,
Mhm.
I'm like, nope, just savor the moment.
Yeah, because
This
it turns out his butt is exposed, but for some reason his butt isn't, like, injured at all. That doesn't make
no.
any sense.
Well, he does make a reference to like
It
in before, is like
hurts.
it was
Yeah.
it felt like it was bruised or something.
So I didn't find the butt funny until he says, "This is the proudest moment of my life." And then
Really?
I thought that was funny.
Okay. Siegfried and the Starker and Dalip are driving
Mhm.
away. Siegfried is, pissed that it didn't work, but says, but you did your job, but I can't actually kill your wife, even though it would be doing the world a favor. And Dalip's just getting so pissed off, he just punches him out of the car.
He finally goes too far and he ragdolls out of the car off a
Yeah.
bridge, presumably to his death. Though I guess if they were going to do a sequel, that would be pretty easy to bring him back.
So back at Control HQ, Max is permanently promoted to an agent, or permanently made an agent. Maybe I'm the one who said, well, actually, so looking back at the movie, I know that the chief says, I can't make you an agent, but I don't think he actually says promoted. The only people who has said the words promoted were Max. So in his mind, he views it as a promotion, but it may not actually be.
I don't remember who says promotion and who doesn't.
It
All I
is
know is,
Max, I know.
oh,
So
okay.
in his mind, and
Hmm.
I'm the one who said promote as well. So, but he's permanently made an agent.
Hmm.
And then, of course, the dog that he saw looking in the window, like Agent 99 got him the dog. We also meet Agent Jaime.
Yes, played by David Putty from
Uh,
Seinfeld.
yes,
Patrick
Patrick
Warburton
Warburton.
is his
Yes,
real
also
name.
Kronk from Emperor's New Groove.
Among many other parts, both
He's
live
great.
action
He's great.
and
Yeah.
a voice actor.
So of course, Larrabee and 91 are like, oh, it's time to play pick on the new guy. But of course, he takes advantage and beat them up instead.
Yeah, more workplace violence, very hilarious. And then it's revealed that Bruce and Lloyd are controlling him via remote control, like
Yeah.
a Radio Shack remote control,
Hmm.
which was not true in the series, I
From the
believe.
episode that we saw, we don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was nice to get Jaime in there. And so we have the end credits with the doors where, they go
Mm.
up the elevator, they walk, and then all the doors close behind them, except the one last door seems to be stuck. So Max is going to go investigate it, and 99 is like, I'll just let maintenance do it. Nope. And the door hits him. And then he drops the pocket knife, and one of the bolts from the crossbow hits him in the face.
Yeah, one more example of slapstick
That
humor.
cringe slapstick. It's not just regular, like a regular slapstick. I like, but this is just like
Mhm.
too much.
All right,
Yeah.
and that is Get Smart 2008. Oh my goodness, so much to be said about it. So cerebral, or not, as the case may be.
All
I
right.
actually have some spy fact
All
versus
right. Go
fiction,
for it.
and my source for all of this stuff is Wikipedia. Okay, so yellow cake
Oh,
uranium
okay. Yeah. All right. I was gonna cover this, but go ahead.
is just about the raw version of uranium. It's made, you pull it out of the ground, and then you crush it into a fine powder after
Mhm.
being milled. So it's not particularly dangerous unless you inhale it or consume it. So it's probably not a good idea to have an actual cake in the presence of yellow cake like they do
Oh,
in the
that's what
movie.
you wanted. All right.
But in order to make it dangerous, you have to refine it and enrich it, which anyone who's read a newspaper article about the Iranian enrichment program knows it requires way more effort than one tiny little warehouse under a bakery.
I mean, to be fair, that whole like it looked like they had a whole production facility there. So who knows?
The uranium has very low radioactivity. It is radiologically harmless. So I think it's a little bit of a stretch that someone who is in its presence would be setting off Max's Geiger counter.
Interesting. Also, a fun fact about it:
Uh-huh.
most yellow cake produced by modern mills is actually brown or black, not yellow. The
Okay.
name comes from the color and texture of the concentrates produced by early mining operations.
So it's like not even
Yeah.
correct anymore.
No. No.
Next, I have Easter Island heads. They make a reference
Oh, yes.
to someone looking like an Easter Island head. They're
Uh huh.
actually called Moai statues.
Yes, that's correct.
There are nearly 1,000 of them, and they were created by the Rapa Nui people, Aboriginal Polynesians.
Yeah.
The next thing I have, April 18th, 1987, Debbie Williams, a skydiver, collided with her fellow skydiver named Guy Fitzpatrick, and she was knocked unconscious. Instructor Gregory Robertson dove towards her, caught up at 3,500 feet, which is 10 seconds from impact with the ground. He pulled her chute at 2,000 feet, saving her life, though she suffered a skull fracture, broken ribs, and an injured kidney. The incident was listed for years in the Guinness Book of World Record as the lowest midair rescue ever. Both the United States and the USSR have created nuclear weapons small enough to be transported in specially designed backpacks in the 1950s and 1960s. None have created one small enough to be used in an actual suitcase, at least as far as anyone knows. However, the backpacks yield much smaller than a normal nuclear weapon, which is something that bugged me, because I was like, if you're going to assassinate the president with a nuke, why would you put it in the same building when nuclear weapons would devastate the entire city? Why would you put it in the one building that they're going to be searching? Just put it next door or a block away. But if the yield is so much lower, then you want to make sure that you put it right where it needs.
Yeah. They actually do sell Geiger counter watches nowadays. They run, the lowest I've seen is about $2,000. I've seen others that are more expensive, but I don't know how effective they are. So I was wondering if there was actually, like, if you could actually drive on a rail car with the spokes of your tires.
Well, they do it in Back to the Future Part 3.
Yeah, but in that case, it could have been modified by the dock to fit. Whereas this is like a straight off the, off the road goes onto it, which I think they also do in like Octopussy, one of the other Bonds. So I've not found anything online, but there are vehicles called road rail vehicles, which are dual mode, which can operate both on rail tracks and conventional roads.
Okay.
But they have adapters, which but it is cool that there are things that can do that. Let's see. Seemingly, there's no Cafe Minsk in Smolensk.
I saw what you did there.
I was curious. Smolensk is, a city that's about 160 kilometers or 220 miles outside of Moscow, and it is one of the oldest Russian cities. The fingerprints.
Okay.
That exact methodology, I'm not sure if it could work, but at this time, like, fingerprint scanners were not as secure as they might be now. On Mythbusters, they did test a bunch of methods to break into it, one of which was so they did put latex on your thumb, a latex fingerprint on your own thumb to fool the scanner. Also, you were using a copy of a thumbprint on ballistics gel, but even using a paper copy of a fingerprint but licking the paper to simulate sweat was enough to fool the sensors.
Wow, interesting. Of course, that's not what they do in the movie. They just breathe on it.
It's almost. I couldn't find anything that actually used that specific method, but it's not entirely implausible.
The point is, they were pretty easy to fool in all sorts of unusual ways.
Exactly.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah. So there was going to be a sequel to this movie, but they never got the script quite right. And I think the last update was in 2019, where one of the producers said, that's pretty much, the ship has sailed on it. But between the original show and this movie, first there was the made-for-TV reunion movie called Get Smart Again in 1989, which had all the original cast. But then in 1995, there was a sequel series, which only lasted one season, which featured, Max as the new chief of control, but his bungling son, Andy, played by Andy Dick, as Zach, as one of the top control agents.
Don't put Andy Dick as your lead in the show.
So it only lasted one season, and then, of course, Andy Dick moved on to news radio, which is where he really got popular. Yeah, but that's all I have for Spy Fact versus Spy Fiction.
All right, time for your favorite quotes. Would you like to go first? I also have a bunch, so why don't you go ahead?
I like one of the first things he says is, until we understand that our enemies are also human beings, we will never be able to defeat them. They are bad guys, but that is what they do, not who they are. I also liked, this is chaos. We don't go frickin' boom here.
Yep.
And I know we said the joke, but let's see, it was like, it's only fair he is surrounded by a highly trained team of 130 Black Ops snipers. Would you believe 24 Delta Force commandos? How about Chuck Norris with a BB gun?
Yep. Nice.
I'll tell you what we're not. We're not people to jam staples into other people's heads. That's CIA crap.
Yeah, I like that that's CIA crap.
Yeah. Still, it's too bad about all the dead movie stars.
Mhm.
Yes, what will we do without their razor-sharp political advice?
Wow, that is a prescient quote for 2021.
And last but not least,
Mhm.
you have reached the United States Department of Homeland Security. For threats against the continental United States, press 1. For the threats against Hawaii, press 2. And I appreciate that because usually Hawaii gets zero mention. And this is one of my pet peeves. Like, even like patriotic songs, like even songs made after 9/11, they're always from New York to LA or anything, just the continental. They never mention Hawaii.
From Sea to Shining Sea, yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So, or even disaster movies. Most disaster movies never touch Hawaii, except for 2012, which had like all of the volcanoes exploding in Hawaii. So the fact that Hawaii acknowledged and that I'm from Hawaii, I appreciated that. And they also even mentioned like for threats against Guam or Puerto Rico, the Canary Islands, press 3.
So I thought it was a reference to that time that Hawaii got that warning that they were going to get hit by a ballistic missile, but that must have been after 2008.
That was like last year or 2 years ago. No, 2 years ago.
Okay, so it's just prescient, and
Yeah.
again, in that case.
All right, what are your favorite quotes?
So I liked when Bruce says, "For the record, I never actually used the word ready," referring to the cone of silence, because that's something I feel like I would say. I like when the guy says, "I'm not afraid to expose myself."
What the next line after that is like, do you ever think before you're talking? He's like, no, I just sort of whip it out there.
I don't like it when they telegraph the jokes. Or like, don't explain the joke. Like, keep it moving.
But that wasn't
keep it
explaining
moving.
that. It was just like even adding it more so, I thought.
Okay.
All
I
right.
didn't care for that part, so it's fine.
Okay.
I liked the exchange when Max says, "If you want it, you're going to have to come take it." And Agent 23 says, "I know, that's what I just said." And then finally, my personal favorite quote from this movie is, "I'm just a woman with a dusty old uterus."
Oh, God.
All right, so that is our quotes, and now it is time for our ratings on a scale of 1 to 10 martinis, 1 being a terrible spy movie, 10 being a fantastic spy movie. How would you rate Get Smart 2008?
All right, do you want to go first?
Okay, so the beginning of the movie, I really did not care for it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that funny. The humor was pretty cringy. It felt like it was going to be really long. But as it went on, the stunts got better. I found myself liking the characters more.
Okay.
On Rotten Tomatoes, it's about a 50%. I'm going to incline to agree with that. I will give it 5.5 martinis because it averages out to be okay.
All right. I was worried you were going to give this a 3 like you gave Spies in Disguise because you made so many comparisons between the two.
Did I really give Spies in Disguise a 3?
Yes, you did.
I must have been a little harsher back then.
All right, so I'm going to give this a solid 7. I appreciate this movie, and I enjoyed it. Like, the comedy does work for me. Like, I was laughing. And like I said, I think in comparison to Johnny English, which I also enjoy, but I watched this and I liked it better. Like, in my mind, because it was fresh in my memory, I watched it, compared it to that, and we can talk more about that whenever we get to that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I really enjoyed it, and I was disappointed that there was no sequel to this ever made. Who knows? Maybe they'll reboot it in another 10 years' time, and we'll see. I like one thing that always felt a little off to me was the age gap between Anne Hathaway and Steve Carell. But I did like that they at least made a reference to her actually being older than she looked.
It didn't really bug me that much. Maybe it's because it's become so common in movies now.
Right. It becomes more glaring, though, as time goes on, where you have still the same actors and then put with like 20-something actresses as their romantic lead.
Right.
So I feel like as our actors have aged, it's just become even more glaring. But just on a whole, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the comedy. I did enjoy like the fight scenes. Like, looked good.
Okay.
For the most part, other than like some dodgy green screens. But yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you for joining us. You can find us on social media at the Spy-Fi Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time, I'm Christian.
And I'm Zach.
And we are the Spy-Fi Guys, signing off. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed our podcast, please be sure to rate and review us on iTunes. The theme music is by Jer Fitzgerald and Big Man Joe. Media reviewed by our podcast are the intellectual property of their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended.
This is a personal podcast. Any views, statements, or opinions expressed in this podcast are personal and belong solely to the participants. They do not represent those of people, institutions, or organizations that the participants may or may not be associated with in a professional or personal capacity unless explicitly stated. Any views or opinions are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, or individual.
You can find our podcast on social media at the Spy Fi Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.